morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 15th, 2025 Equity Commission meeting. It is 10:01. We will go ahead and get started. Call meeting order. We'll have go from left to right. Calling on the Department of Development. We have the Director, Paul Hurdig, and Vaughn Johnson. We have Jill Smilek from Public Safety and Justice Services.
Good morning.
And we have Sarah Nimistill from Human Resources.
Here.
And Lenora Lockett from the Department of Equity and Inclusion. We do have a quorum present. The first item on the agenda is the review and approval of minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes.
Any corrections or changes to the minutes? I'd like to entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Can I have a second? Second by Vaughn Johnson. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any abstentions or dissenting votes? Okay. Don't have anyone that signed in for public comment? Next item on the agenda is opening remarks. Again, we'll go from the far end of the table first and proceed.
Okay. Good morning. Paul Hurdig, Department of Development. Pleased to be here with Vaughn. I have a little bit of information to share. Vaughn may have others. I wanted to make everyone aware that there's been good results from a small investment of county funds that we made 2 years ago with an organization called Cleveland Builds, affiliated with the Construction Employers Association. This actually originated before the Workforce Development Board started its larger program, its $10 million ARPA-funded program. We were one of the pioneers in supporting this work to bring non-traditional participants into good union jobs in construction. And so I'm pleased to report we just got last year's results from this work. There were 270 Cuyahoga County residents who took part in pre-apprenticeship programs. Out of that number, 71% were Black, Indigenous, or persons of color. And of those who were actually placed in paid apprenticeship programs, 77% were Black, Indigenous, and persons of color. And additionally, as women have traditionally been underrepresented in the construction trades, it's important to know 25% of those trained and 26% of those placed were women. So we are pleased that this county funding has been able to support some measurable progress in diversifying and improving the participation in the building trades.
Okay, good morning, Vaughn Johnson, Department of Development. I have 3 things that I wanted to share this morning. First, continuing the series of inviting our capital partners to this meeting. If you remember last year and the year before, I was giving some of these updates and I said, hey, why don't we just bring our capital partner? You can hear directly from them. So Jasmine Dixon is here. I believe she's going to be joined by Nicole Latos from the Women's Business Center, and they're going to talk to us about their programs and how they've been able to leverage county funds to help MBEs as well. The next thing I want to share is continuing our work with MBE developers. We have 2 MBE developers in our pipeline for economic development loans, with 2 significant projects. I can't share what they are right at this moment because they're still in the pipeline, but we hope to see those come forward in some additional meetings coming up. And then last, I wanted to share that the Office of Small Business just celebrated our first birthday.
Oh.
So we're actually 1 year old, and I've been waiting to get some metrics to share with you. I work very closely with Aaron Kinney and the other staff members in the Office of Small Business, and of course with Paul. And I just wanted to run down some metrics for you and what the Office of Small Business has been up to. So since we launched in May of 2024, we've had over 800 businesses reach out to the Office of Small Business for assistance and at least 700 of those are minority and women-owned. 700 out of the 800 are. The next one is 43 small businesses have received loans for about $1.5 million, and 30 of those are MBEs, and that's growing. And the reason why that's really significant is because the funding that our capital partners receive for this, their contracts didn't really go live until the last quarter of 2024. So you're talking about some of these loan numbers and just over 3 quarters of having these dollars out for these organizations to go to these businesses. And then the last metric I wanted to mention is MBEs and WBEs have received over 2,500 hours of technical assistance. So when we launched the Office of Small Business, there was some talk about most of these businesses need funding, and they do. But what they need the most is technical assistance and a business advisor to help get them to become bankable and other things that they need to grow. And we're probably going to finish this year at over 1,200 small businesses helped. And we've expanded our resource partners from 60 to 65, which includes capital partners as well as resource partners. And as you know, we have listening sessions, we do warm introductions, and that landscape of resource partners continues to grow, which in turn will be able to help more and more small businesses. So I couldn't be more excited. It definitely has exceeded my expectations in terms of the Office of Small Business, and that's some of the work we've been doing in the last year with OSB and the Department of Development.
Okay. Thank you. Before Jill starts, I'd like to acknowledge that Chris Murray with the Department of Health and Human Services is attending. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Go ahead, Jill.
Sure.
Sorry. We're
No,
over
that's
our-
okay. Thank you. It's really hard to follow up from from Vaughn and Director Herdig, but Public Safety and Justice Services has been working on a few different initiatives. One thing that's actually kicking off today, we're calling it our Public Safety Spotlight Series. At the beginning of this year, we sent out a survey to every police chief, fire chief, and public safety director or safety director for every city in Cuyahoga County and every first responder department. And we gathered information on the topics that they felt like they needed more information on. And we put together just a 30-minute speaker series that we're doing virtually every couple months, every 6 weeks or so. They're kind of spaced a little bit sporadically, just depending on who's doing the presentation. But the idea is to get the word out about the services that Cuyahoga County can provide and how we can support public safety agencies across the community in becoming community-oriented, in learning how we can support them in outreach activities and things like that. So our very first one is today. The focus is preparing for summer events because we know a lot of cities sponsor family days, community days, and things like that. And we just want to make sure that there's a public safety presence, that it's approachable, that it's efficient, and how can we support. So that's the first one today. We also have a few scheduled that will be more focused on things like Amber Alerts, victims' rights, protection orders, the whole gamut of what our department does. So that launches today. We also celebrated, to piggyback on Vaughn's birthday, we should have brought cupcakes, but
We should have.
here we are.
We'll do that.
10 years of service at our Family Justice Center. So the Family Justice Center is it's a walk-in service for victims of crime. We know that victims of crime, everyone associated with the criminal justice system, there's an overrepresentation, disproportionate minority contact with the criminal justice system. So what we do at the Family Justice Center is we try to make it, again, more approachable, easier to come in to talk to somebody about what are your options. If you don't want to report something to the police, what else can you do to keep yourself and your family safe? So we've had over 12,000 clients in 10 years. It's growing. It's been growing every single year. There's a little bit of an increase in the number of people who come through. So we celebrated that. The county executive took over a proclamation and declared it Family Justice Center Day in Cuyahoga County, which was a very nice celebration of their work over there. They're also getting ready to launch our 7th year of the Camp Hope model, which is a summer camp program for kids who've been exposed to violence. So our kiddos who come to that camp week, they range their trauma exposure is going to range from child abuse and domestic violence all the way up to losing a parent to homicide or witnessing a homicide. So we are launching that program. We're scheduled again for the last week of July, first week of August. Last year, that was the same week as the tornado, so we're gonna hope that we don't have that added challenge on top of everything. So it's been a busy time for our victim services unit as well. And then finally, I've been talking about this for a long time now, over a year, but our career, increasing diversity within the public safety field. We've been working on an initiative to address that, and we have made a lot of progress with the IT department, who is going to develop the website for us. So that is in progress, and we hope to have that done by the beginning of the new school year, so that kids who are entering into tech programs at the various high schools will have this as a tool that they can use. So that's what I've been focused on the last couple months. So thank you.
Good morning. So in Health and Human Services, there is a couple of external initiatives that I want to talk about, and then one internal. Externally, we just had our first Human Services Resource Fair of the season, and this is part of our continuing effort and the executives' continuing effort to get our services to clients as quickly as possible. We want to eliminate transportation barriers, travel barriers, any reasons why individuals don't know about the programs we offer. In many cases, that's a struggle. Not that we don't have the programs, but raising awareness is key and it's crucial. And so yesterday we had our first Human Resources Fair at the Cleveland Heights Community Center. Well attended, excellent buzz in the room, and the vendors that were there were everything from health insurance brokers, to individuals, to organizations that assist with adoption, reading levels. If you had issues with your JFS cases, we had individuals there that can help you with those resources. So we think that was a success. There will be additional, as you can imagine, there will be additional resources fairs throughout the season, and so more to come on that note. Our work continues on our single biggest initiative, which is the Hope Campus. This is part of our continuing effort to care for the children in our community. And so we're working with our partners, the centers. That work continues. Construction is ongoing as we speak, as well as we are serving children that are qualified to be in the facility. So more on that to come, more on that to share, of course, as we get down the development cycle. And then finally, internally, we have returned to our initiative of crucial conversations with our individual employees. Our goal is to create better teamwork amongst our own staff that provide these services. And in order to do that, we need to know each other, and we need to be comfortable with differences. I think that's part of the challenge of diversity, learning to work together, even as we acknowledge what makes us different and what makes us fun. So those crucial conversations restart May 29th, and interest is high, as you can well imagine, with the environment that we're in. But we're looking forward to getting that started again.
Question.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
have a question for Chris.
You bet.
Chris, thank you for that. On the crucial conversations, is it going to look a little bit different this time than before when they rolled out originally. The format, looking
Well,
for
we
some-
actually expanded we expanded the timeframes. We think the
Okay.
interest is high. No, but we haven't necessarily changed the format because there has not been a demand to do so, just yet. But because of the amount of time, that since our last crucial conversation, we wanted to reset, make it as familiar as possible, and then we can enhance as we go. We are, this is tough work at times.
I know.
And so we want to make this an easy onboarding process for our staff and our teams. It's almost like not to coin a phrase, but a wellness opportunity for the team. Bet.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that summary. Sarah?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Sarah Nemestol, Department of Human Resources. Speaking of wellness, May is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. So, as an organization, we need to, continue to encourage open communication about mental health and also to do our part to educate, our employees about resources that are available to them, particularly our Employee Assistance Program. We have a great program facilitated through more counseling and mediation services. We're also doing a bit of a focus on mental health and wellness this month. So if you missed it in your email, for county employees, we are offering double points for certain mental health awareness journeys in the platform, and I believe a training class as well. And our monthly EAP webinar series for May, facilitated by More Counseling, has a mental health focus. And I believe there's actually a mental health resiliency webinar this afternoon, I believe. So encourage everybody to take a look at that. In terms of updates from the department, so we continue to focus on pay in 2025. So in late '23, we engaged a consultant to do a pay equity study for our non-bargaining classified employees. The consultant did complete their study and recommended pay adjustments for our non-bargaining classified staff, and those adjustments were implemented at the end of '24. So what we're focusing on now in '25 is we have contracted with a vendor to help us establish a true compensation philosophy for the county, and then related policies and procedures to make pay transparent. That is a main goal of this, is so people understand why they are paid, what they are paid, and they understand the process that was undertaken, to determine their pay. So we are working on that. We're doing focus groups with leadership over the next month, I believe, with our consultant. And we continue our civility training program, the civil treatment for employees into 2025. Because, we can't have inclusivity if we don't have civility. So trying to keep that going and encourage employees to sign up if they haven't signed up yet. And our internal Department of Equity and Inclusion Committee, not Department of Equity, our internal DE&I Committee for HR hosted a panel discussion recently on mentoring called Mentors Matter to talk about 2 mentoring opportunities that we are encouraging county employees to participate in. The True You Mentoring Program for CMSD students and College Now. And it was a great panel discussion. We had several of our own colleagues on who have served, as mentors professionally, and also an employee who is an alumni from College Now as a mentee. So it was really great to hear from them. And Nikki Price from College Now, who's great, was also on the panel. That's available on the county's YouTube page, so if you haven't had a chance to watch, I encourage you to do so.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for giving an overview and those opening comments to show and demonstrate your work and effort to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion for Cuyahoga County. I'll go over a few items that the Department of Equity and Inclusion is planning for the summer months, and I'll give a brief overview now of what we've done since our last Equity Commission meeting. In March, we did the annual virtual kickoff of the What's Next program. That was a virtual webinar that focused on the equity report that is posted by January 31st of every year. And as you all know, the equity report provides a summary of county departments and agencies' efforts to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in their operations. In April, we had the first county vendor fair for calendar year 2025. There's various departments represented, including many of those here on the panel today at that vendor fair. There was also it was done in collaboration with the Department of Purchasing, and it's an opportunity for vendors to get face-to-face assistance and answer any questions and to learn what the county plans to purchase over the next 24-month period. And also in April, during that last week of April, we had the first of our 2 sessions that we'll have this year, well, 2 series of sessions. That's for the all-staff DEI Town Hall training. The focus of that training is for all staff. The target audience is any staff that has not completed the prior trainings and our new employees. So we'll be offering that every 6 months. So we did the first of the first grouping in April. We'll follow that up in October. And this month in May, we did have a joint multi-agency certification program that we participated with several other of our sister agencies, Regional Sewer, GCRTA, City of Cleveland, just a few of the entities represented at that joint multi-agency certification. And it also had a procurement component, so it can bring the tie between why do you want vendors to get certified at the various entities so that they can have access and increase awareness about opportunities at each of those agencies. For the future months coming up this summer, we have the first event will be the Mid-Year Equity Summit, which again, HR is presenting along with the Personnel Review Commission and also DEI. The focus of that seminar will be, or session, will be workforce, our greatest resource. It will be virtual. The target audience is supervisors, managers, leaders at any level of supervision in Cuyahoga County. The invitations for that program will be sent sometime next week, the latter part of next week at the latest. In June, that's June. In July, we'll have the second vendor fair. Again, the vendor fairs we're doing 3 times this year. That's July. April was the first one we just did, April 24th. In July, it'll be on July 17th. And then the final one for this year will be October 23rd. It's going to be a similar format. Again, it's an opportunity for businesses to come and get face-to-face assistance and to learn what the county is planning to buy. At the July vendor fair, they'll have the updated contract and the purchasing forecast. That forecast is updated semi-annually, so the next update is scheduled for July 1st. So that'll be the another incentive. It'll be a more up-to-date, updated purchasing plan for Cuyahoga County. We're also tentatively working with a multi-department group on planning the next meeting of the various county equity teams. Right now, we're tentatively looking at a meet and greet session in August. Those details are still being finalized. Also in August, we plan to have the second series of trainings for the management training, DEI training. That is a 2-part series. So we'll have 1 week that will provide the first management training, session 1, and then a week later we'll follow up with a couple of sessions of the management session 2. Similar to the town hall, this is mainly geared toward newly promoted or newly hired managers, leaders, and supervisors. or anyone that did not, that's in those roles that did not complete the training before. We'll round out the summer in September with the second What's Next session. And the topic for those trainings will be microaggressions, do's and don'ts. And that topic was selected from a survey and In the Know earlier this year, either January or February. So those are the tasks and programs and initiatives that DEI will be focusing on for the next few months. Again, did anyone at this time have any questions for any of the other, what I just presented or what anyone else presented on their opening remarks? Okay, thank you again. Thank you, everyone. It's always inspiring to hear all the work that's occurring in departments to make sure that there's equitable access, awareness, and opportunities for our community. We do have a spotlight agency presenting today. That's Economic and Community Development Institute. I'll let Vaughn do the honors of introducing them.
Thank you so much. It is my great pleasure to introduce Jasmine Dixon of ECDI and Nicole Latos of the Women's Business Center. They are one of our capital partners, which means that they receive county funding through a competitive grant process to continue the work that they do with small businesses, MBEs, WBEs, and the like. If you recall, in previous meetings, we've heard from Village Capital Corporation, Grow America, Jumpstart, the Urban League, their MBAC, and their UBIZ program. We've heard from the newest capital partner, the Penwill Group. And today we have ECDI, and they're going to talk to us and share with us how they've leveraged county funds and some of their programs. Jasmine?
Thank you, Vaughn. Just to kind of give you guys a little bit of background on myself and Nicole. So as Vaughn mentioned, my name is Jasmine Dixon. I've been with ECDI for 8 years. I've served in various different roles. Currently, my role is Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Advancement for our Northern Ohio market. Then I want to introduce my colleague here, Nicole Liatis.
So good morning, everyone. Appreciate the county's support in creating equitable access for entrepreneurs. And so I've been with ECDI for almost 10 years, and I'm VP of Entrepreneurial Programs. And so I oversee our 5 women's business centers across the state, as well as our Veterans Business Outreach Center, and then other entrepreneurial support programs. So looking forward to sharing our success and the businesses that we support. Okay, so a little bit about ECDI. So our mission, and also ECDI stands for the Economic and Community Development Institute. Our mission is investing in people to create measurable and enduring social and economic change. We are a CDFI, which is a Community Development Financial Institute. We have been around for about 20 years. We were founded in 2004. Our headquarters is in Columbus. And we are a nonprofit community economic development organization. And proud to say that we are the #1 SBA microlender for by loan volume in the country for the 4th year in a row. And we serve the state of Ohio, and then we also serve parts of Indiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia. To date, we've served more than we've lended $201 million in lending, and then we are a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs. So we do that through providing access to capital, training, and mentorship. Oh, I have the slide. Yep, there we go. So a little bit about the client services side of ECDI, because there's really 2 buckets, which is the client services and then the lending. And so we have wraparound services through training, incubation, accelerator programs to increase business success. And then our lending, which is access to capital for entrepreneurs who face barriers when trying to get traditional lending. Okay. So going in depth with our client services, we have our Women's Business Center. And like I said, we have 5 of those. And we were just awarded our 5th location in Dayton, which is connected to Central State, which is historic for us, being connected to an HBCU. And so we support all genders for business, and this is from nascent business and idea business into growing businesses. And I'll talk in the next slide a little bit more in detail about the Women's Business Center because they play a crucial role in this program. And so then we also have our ECDI Contractor Resource Center, and this is really helping those subcontractors grow and giving them the resources to be competitive in the market. And then we have our food incubation services, which is wraparound support for growing food-based businesses and getting them into the store and into market. And then recently as well, for ECDI, we were awarded the Veterans Business Outreach Center, which is partially funded by the SBA. And so that is physically located in Dayton as well, connected to Wright State University, but this program also serves statewide. So all of these programs across the state get access to it. So a little bit more in depth about the Women's Business Center. And so I just want to make a note that we do serve all entrepreneurs. We don't turn anyone away. And so we have locations in Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Dayton, and Portsmouth. We provide one-on-one coaching, training focusing on different business topics, digital marketing and web workshops. There is a membership to this component as well. You know, I think kind of veering off a little bit from this PowerPoint, I think it's really important that we have the support systems and the communities around entrepreneurship. And so we do have a membership base where they're learning from their peers. They have their cheerleaders to help them. You know, entrepreneurship can be a lonely road. So when you have that community, it's important, and it's that holistic view of entrepreneurship.
And I might add, the fee is very reasonable. It's $80 a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if we don't ever turn anybody away, so if they can't afford it, we have scholarships available and we can work with them. So we have loan package preparation through our Women's Business Center, a lot of different networking events, and then access to our professional advisory network. And this is really important, you know, as we look at serving a diverse entrepreneurship group. We realize that social capital is huge for our businesses, and so they might not have access to those subject matter experts or those connections. And so we bring in professionals such as like a lawyer, accountants, CPAs, where they have access to work with those subject matter experts and professionals for no cost. And so as Jasmine said, you know, our membership is $80. If you look at a good return on investment, meeting with an attorney one time covers that. So, yeah. And then we'll move on to small business lending.
So, can I ask a question, Nicole?
Yes.
I mean, first of all, that's fantastic on the woman's side. What if there's a guy that wants to take advantage of that?
Well, they will join. They'll join. And so we don't serve any, we don't turn anybody away. And so if they are not comfortable saying that they're a part of the Women's Business Center, they can just say they're a part of the resource center.
I don't care what.
Or entrepreneurial support.
Those are great value, those are great services, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So as Nicole mentioned earlier, there's two components to what we do in our core business, obviously the training coaching side, but the core of what we do is our small business lending. And what sets us apart is we are committed to making sure all entrepreneurs, no matter where they're starting out financially, have access to lending that is both responsible on our part, but also affordable to the client. And so we're really making sure that we are being consistent in our lending practices to make sure that we are properly bridging that gap between you know, the need of clients who are not actually able to access traditional bank financing. All right, so just a little bit more in depth about our lending and technical assistance. So our lending and technical assistance goes hand in hand. Like, you really cannot have one without the other, because our intent is to make sure these businesses are successful from the jump before they get lending and then after they actually get lending. So on our lending side, there are two primary programs that we utilize through the SBA. The first one is the Community Advantage Program, which allows our clients to take advantage of funding through real estate and sometimes some larger projects. It has different terms that allows them to extend their time frame and having a loan and things like that. And then we have the microloan program, which allows clients to get access to smaller dollar amounts. Typically, you can't go to a bank and get $750 because you have to get a certification to start your business. You know what I mean? So, you know, by allowing them to access, you know, such a low dollar amount, it really is setting the stage for them to be able to further grow their business. And this is not a resource they typically can find anywhere else. So we actually now go up to $2 million. It's been creeping up. When I started, it was $350,000, then it was $500,000. We did take a big jump to $2 million. But really what that shows is we have a strong ability to manage our portfolio of clients and making sure that, like, once again, that we are being responsible in the work that we're doing. And so we want to make sure that if we do have some clients, and it's, you know, it's very common, it's something that we call the near miss, where you almost were ready for banking, but it might have been one little thing, one little check that wasn't, one little box that wasn't checked, then you can actually come over to us and access those funds. Most of our loans go up to 10 years unless you're utilizing something like the Community Advantage program, which can be extended a little further for like real estate purposes. And then our average loan size is $21,000. So out of all of our clients, the majority of them come and get about $20,000. It's pretty standard. And then from the interest rate perspective, our interest rates can fluctuate depending on the market. It can fluctuate depending on our sources of funding. But primarily, we can go down as low as 2%. And the county actually is really a big part of that, because what we do is when we are providing funding to clients, it is a mixture of different sources. So some of it might be bank funding, some of it might be SBA funding. Those county dollars that we are able to lend to clients at 0% or 2% allows us to drive down the rate for clients here in Cuyahoga County. So we really appreciate that from you guys. That's a big component to what we're doing, even on a statewide. We need that kind of support locally. So we appreciate that. And then the second component to what we do is, through the technical assistance, we have relationship managers that works with the client one-on-one, making sure that, obviously that they are prepared to access funding. But even after that, we do a lot of post-technical assistance, post-loan technical assistance, because, there's two reasons. Number one, we want to make sure that the business is sustainable, right? We want to make sure, our portfolio is healthy. Clients are able to repay their debts. But at the same time, from our perspective, you give us our money back. That's money that we can put back out into other clients. And so we really do make sure that we are, spending a lot of time working with those clients and giving them what they need to be sustainable and to grow. So I mentioned that ongoing technical assistance from portfolio team. So the big component about that, I think that is important to say, is that our clients sometimes have situations come up where they need us to tweak some of their original conditions of their loan. So we might have to have a period where it's interest only, or we might have to have a period where we move a payment around, or whatever the structure needs to be. So we have a portfolio team that is actively working with our clients once they get a loan with us, if they are, if they have situations like that. And then obviously, kind of what Nicole mentioned earlier, we have professional consultants that are available to our clients when there are specific needs that they have, whether it's before getting a loan or after. And then Nicole was able to talk to you guys a little bit more in depth about the counseling and training that we provide through all of our different departments. And as she mentioned, those things are accessible across the state. We might not have our physical, food fort, which is our commissary kitchen, and storage space for our kitchen, for our clients who do food businesses, but they have access to all the professionals and all the programs that are associated with that department. So I want to give you guys a little bit of an idea of some of the products that we create to be equitable, and making sure that clients, have resources out of the typical lending process. So this is something that we call a scored loan, which is typical language in lending, to be honest with you. But the point of this is to provide, access to quick dollars, primarily for working capital needs. There's not as much documentation that will be required like it would be in a typical, full underwriting microloan. Existing businesses can get up to $50,000 under this program. Startups can get up to $30,000. Our credit score for these programs go as low as 600. That is, like, to me, like, it's phenomenal. I really sing our praises at that point, because usually you're looking at 680, and that's low for a lot of banks. So that's really good. So one of the things that we are going to look at is making sure that the business has been profitable, and that we can get a little bit of their historical data to make sure that at least, profitability is one factor, but also just it's been sustainable and stable. And then these loans are tiered, so it's based off of the need of the client, but we also kind of tier it based on credit score as well. And that just allows us to kind of minimize some of the risk. But over time, as we're working with that client and their credit is, increasing, if they need to come back in the future and get access to a scored loan, that is something that is available to them. So another thing that we do to make sure that we're pretty much meeting our clients where they're at and, with their evolving needs, is that from time to time we do these loan specials. These loan specials, the rates are typically 2%. And the funding can be anywhere from $5,000 for startups, $10,000 for existing businesses. These are like our rapid fire loans that we provide for different reasons. We usually do at least 2 a year, one in the fall and one in spring, but then sometimes we'll do them just for special occasions. So like when we turn 20 years old, we wanted to say, hey, you know, you guys were 20 years old, we got to this point, we want to make sure our clients have access to something. So it just was something fun for us to do.
And maybe just to add too, is like we did a women's special
That
as
was it,
well
yep.
during like Women's History Month. And so just looking at how we can make sure that we are being inclusive in our lending and the folks that really need it get that support.
And then the last product I want to mention is our mobilization loan, which is specific to construction. As you guys may know, a lot of contractors don't have the upfront funding to even take on a project, and so that is the purpose of this product. This product is utilizing the contract that they have as a sub or even with an owner as that collateral. And so what's really cool about this is that there's 0% interest. It's kind of like a draw situation where they can draw from that dollar amount over a period of time. There's only closing cost fee, which is about 5%, and they can use these funds for insurance costs, payroll, materials, supplies, equipment, any other contractors they may need to bring on. So, in my opinion, all three of these products really, outside of our traditional microloan and CA, also help to bridge that gap as well and get a lot of these businesses started.
And then just to add to what Jasmine was saying, one of the things that we have a motto here at ACDI is like, we don't like to say no, we like to say not yet. And so kind of how we mirror and how they coexist together as the training and lending side is someone comes in and maybe they're not ready. It's like we send them through our client services side of getting them ready. So for example, like maybe they have a low credit score. We have some My Compass Credit, which is a credit enhancement and financial literacy program that we have. And so getting them through over to client services and then taking them back to lending. So we don't like to say no, we just like to say not yet.
We do have some clients who we would consider long-term clients. I mean, our intent is to make sure that they are prepared to be bankable, but that can take time. And so we find ourselves working with clients for a period of time, sometimes years.
Okay, so specifically for the Cuyahoga County program, I want to get into some of our coaching and training outcomes. And so this is from October 2024 through May 2025. And so some of the key highlights that we have, we served 291 Cuyahoga County clients through our training, coaching, and events. 34 participants completed business plans and trainings. And some of the training topics that were included was access to capital, building business plan and bootstrapping your brand, market analysis, and financial projections. And then some of the support services provided to Cuyahoga County businesses included, and I'm not going to name them all, I'm going to maybe name a few. So business startup and pre-planning, the credit counseling, the business operations, tax planning, and the list goes on.
One of the things that I want to say about this too is that when we talk about 34 participants, we're really speaking to the nature of this particular grant where there is completed business plans being required. So although we have worked with 291 clients, 34 of them have a completed business plan or have completed a training. And that's something we're hoping to have more conversations with you all, because it sounds like the opportunities are going to open up a little bit as to what we can actually count as completed outcomes. And so we're going to obviously have deeper conversations, but this is just where we're at between October and May. So there's definitely going to be a lot more to come.
And to piggyback off that, I just want to say thank you to the county, Vaughn and Aaron, of really listening to, the partners of saying, like, sometimes, with grants it can be restrictive and you're checking check boxes, and so we appreciate that you are nimble and you really have an ear to the ground of what the businesses need. And so being able to open up those service areas, we appreciate that, because it's only going to impact the small businesses in Cuyahoga County. So thank you for being good partners.
All right, so I just wanted to highlight, our relationship with the county over time. So we have dispersed more than $23.7 million throughout Cuyahoga County for Cuyahoga County businesses. Over 5.1 million of that actually came from funds that were awarded to us, loan capital from the county.
Jasmine, would you repeat that?
The county gave us money, y'all. The county gave us money, provided funding to us to actually, provide that funding directly to the businesses, which I mentioned earlier, like huge. That's not something that is always accessible to us across the state and some of our other markets. And so this is really a big deal that they've been able to provide us both funding to do the work that we do, but also capital to actually lend out to these clients. It's huge. And then during COVID, we worked very closely with the county to make sure that businesses had access to some grant funds. And so we were able to facilitate about $500,000 in grants to some of our local businesses alongside the county. We also work with them to distribute $5.8 million in PPP lending. As you guys know, a lot of our clients did not have access to that particular program through traditional banks. And so we were able to step in and assist a lot of those businesses. And these were the disbursements and funding throughout Cuyahoga County. And so over a period of time, we've helped to support 3,670 jobs, both created and retained, since we've started working with the county. Now, as of, and actually I have some updated numbers, as of October 2024, because this is up to February, so I've got up till May 13th, we've done about $147,000 awarded to MBE eligible businesses. And the dollar amount, that was the dollar amount, and 27 loans is what that was. So you got to think about kind of our average loan size. You got to think about, some businesses come to us and just need smaller dollar amounts. But something, now that I think about that.
Wait, and just for clarification.
Oh, I'm sorry.
so-
Wait.
okay, I was like,
Wait. Something ain't right about
The math's not mathing right
Yeah,
now.
something's not right. Okay, so it's actually 523,000 plus the 167,000. Whatever. I mean 147,000. So between October and February, we lent 21 loans, 523,000, and then we lent another 6 between March and May for $147,000. So my mistakes. Appreciate that. Sorry. So as you guys see, we're chugging along, and our outcomes and our intent is to we have $683,000 that the county has provided to us to get out in the streets in loan capital. So once again, that dollar amount for that 5.1 million is just about to keep creeping up. And that's it.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Are you tracking these entities that you've loaned to as going concerns over the life of ECDI? Do we have indications that they're sustainable businesses?
Yeah, so we do track revenue, and we could do a better job at that. Sometimes, I would say, oftentimes on the client services side, the businesses come when they need the support the most, and so like they are busy in their business, and it's usually like when they're in a crisis mode and we help them get out of it, and then they're doing really well in their business, and so sometimes we get what's wrong and sometimes not always what's successful, but yes, we do track revenue and we can provide some of those numbers too for the county.
Phase of the business do you prefer that they come? Are they able to come at the initial thought and get
Absolutely.
started? Okay.
Absolutely. Ideation phase is perfectly fine. And those are the fun ones, to be honest, because then we can kind of help shape it and give them all the resources that they need from the jump, and they don't have to go through some of the struggle that some of these other businesses. And for instance, we had a lot of clients who would just open up a retail store without really even realizing that there are resources out here to help prepare them for that. And then the next thing you know, they're closing for different reasons. And so ideation stage, absolutely. We would love to get in front of that so we can assist.
Jasmine, how do you talk to an entrepreneur if their business idea is not feasible?
Well, there's going to be a lot of market research that they have to conduct. And what are some of your coaches doing right now? What you say?
Yeah, I think market research, but then also having those tough conversations. And so we don't want to be a dream killer, right, in that sense. And so oftentimes in the data, and if we market trends, we will lead them to realizing that it's not feasible. Like, we don't want to tell them, like, no, but if you look at the numbers and we allow them we lead them there and they get that themselves, then we do that. But then it's also maybe pivoting of, like, what are maybe some other ideas that we can, that maybe this is your passion and your dream. Is there another way that we can get there?
Also, we really do focus on mindset. That's a big thing with entrepreneurship across the board. Like, you can put all these things in front of them, but if they don't have the mindset to be able to comprehend certain things, number one, but also to be able to have the grit and everything else that it takes to, because you're going to get knocked down, right? And so the tenacity is a big thing too. So we do, as we're having those conversations and understanding the market that we work with here in Cuyahoga County and in Cleveland especially, you know, we're able to help kind of change and pivot, like she said, trying to kind of change their, inform their mindset a little different.
And we don't see that as really a loss. I know we are like an entrepreneurial support program, but to be honest, in my personal opinion, it's also a win when someone comes in and they're not ready to open that business, or they're really like, you know what, I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur, because there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into it, and their money that goes into it. And so it's okay that they realize like this maybe is not for me, and I need to choose a different path.
The other thing too, and before, I'm sorry, Vaughn, I think you're gonna say something. One thing that I feel like never gets said, and feel like I've been saying it forever, but from a workforce perspective, when they go through these classes and these trainings and things like that, regardless if they start a business or not, now they have management skills. And so that's something that a lot of stakeholders are not really viewing it as, but there is a big time workforce component to this, because a lot of times we're preparing them to, kind of upskilling them in a way to go into another role where they can manage their own team and they understand the operations of a business and all those types of things.
Transferable skills.
Thank you.
I just had one quick question on the mobilization, because I really like that program, because it helps people that want to take it from prime, a subcontractor to prime, because there's that upfront fee, that upfront capital investment. How quickly does that process go from like contract, they have to have the contract and then the loan?
That's one of our quicker products, I would say. I'm trying to think about what our time frame is. The other component that can sometimes be a little bit tricky is there's a joint payment agreement that has to be between the subcontractor or prime contractor, the owner of the project, or the GC if it's a sub, and then ECDI. And so making sure that's the other thing. We want to make sure that we are getting out here and getting in front of some of these GCs, so that they are in agreements with the terms that we have with this JPA. Because if we don't have that, then the subcontractor cannot go through this process. And so that is one thing that we do. We're you know, in good relationships with the Turner Constructions, the Gilbanes, and some of the other, you know, smaller contracting companies here. But so it can depend from that factor. But if everything else is aligned, that program typically moves pretty quickly. I mean, it's one of our fastest.
Can they start early on? Can they start before they have the contract? Not necessarily with formal, but is there any pre-qualification or something?
Well, we always, no matter what kind of business you are, no matter what kind of financial product, you always want to have a conversation up front about the money aspect and what the process is gonna be. So yes, we definitely recommend having that conversation across the board, way more earlier than you're gonna need it.
And a little maybe insight of that program is going to be changing slightly as we are revamping and just making sure that we're meeting the needs of the entrepreneur. And so one of the things that we were saying is to end up going through this lending program, that you have to be a client of the Contractor Resource Center and go through one of those programs, because a lot of it is based on relationship too, and making sure that they're truly ready to be able to take on this project and complete those contracts.
But that's the first I've seen of that type of loan for the mobilization.
And the goal with that program is to take it not just for construction, because there's a missed opportunity with a lot of just contracting businesses. So for example, like a t-shirt business might get awarded, you know, CMSD project for the athletics, and they don't have that upfront capital to be able to take on that contract. And so if we can build relationships with other entities with that JPA, I think it opens the door for folks to be able to get the capital and bid on these larger contracts.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other questions for everyone? Thank you very much for coming and presenting that information. So we're at the last item on the agenda. Is any closing remarks that any of the commissioners want to provide at this point? Okay, we provided a lot of content in the beginning. I appreciate all of you with the ongoing work and effort. Our next meeting is August 21st at 10 a.m. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
First, is there a second?
Second.